Hello, welcome to Challenge 14 on Risk Management Insight. Introducing Team Risky Business comprising of Alex and Danny from John Sisk & Son and Helen and Kate from BMT. This challenge has been submitted by HS2 to improve the risk management process and ability to analyse risk data. We took on board some pain points and user stories in order to shape our user requirements. Through stakeholder analysis, we have provided 9 requirements across 3 different users, which is highlighted on the table, some of which include overall risk management, improved risk capture, and risk mitigation and actions.
At present, as with many risk registers, the current process is based around an Excel spreadsheet, which is often not widely accessible to the team and remains unread in a drawer. Our approach has been to utilize the Microsoft Power Platforms and use a combination of tools as shown. We'll use Forms for data input, SharePoint for data storage, Outlook for notifications, Power BI for data visualizations, and Power Apps for dynamic data management. Power Automate links all these tools together. From the data provided, we developed a word cloud using Power BI, which identified 5 key impact factors as shown. A scoring system was developed with input from the HS2 team, which will later be shown in the presentation. We also recommended new data fields to be added to the risk management system through a form created to improve data quality and to make inputting of risks more accessible and straightforward.
One of the tools that we've developed is a Power App, which we've designed to facilitate engagement by allowing easy access to the risk register for viewing and for editing. We've developed this through a phone-based tool, which allows input from anywhere, including on-site, and gives a personalized user experience. What this looks like for the user is a searchable database where they are able to select a risk and make any changes as required. This will facilitate more dynamic information by allowing risks to be changed easily by those who are closest to them. The user experience is as follows. They will enter the database. They can search for a key term. So in this instance, for example, access. They can then enter a risk and then make any edits as required. And as will be shown shortly, any edits will be flagged up through to a risk owner through a Power Automate flow and a accompanying email. One of the key tools that underpinned our solution was Microsoft's Power Automate, which we used to connect the various Microsoft solutions together. One of these flows was used to connect Microsoft Forms to SharePoint, which ensured that every time a form was submitted, the results were automatically added to the database. This improved data quality and improved the efficiency of the system. The other solution was to connect Power Apps to the Microsoft SharePoint and onto Outlook, which meant that any time that there were any changes anywhere in the system, whether in SharePoint or in Power Apps, the owner of the risk would get an update to say that there had been a change and a link to the original item to ensure that the changes were as required.
We linked our dataset from SharePoint into Power BI to create an initial view at a high level showing the number of risks, the average score of these risks, the trend of when they were raised, the work type, and the 5 category scores in terms of the risk categories on cost, delay, design, environmental and safety. We also plotted the risks on a map, and which can be filtered by selecting the filter at the top and then homes in on the hotspots in each area. This can also be done for each of the work types as well. The second element that we looked at was by risk owners. This shows the number of risks per owner with a tooltip for each of the category scores and the average risk score as well. This can drill through into risk owners' own view to manage their own risks, showing all of the scores per category and an overall risk score as well as all the detail. The final element that we looked at was a cost analysis, predicting the probability cost of all risks by work locations. This was done by using cost bands that were provided by HS2 and likelihood bands as well. The cost bands are times by the likelihood percentage to provide the probability cost.
These are the questions that we were asked by the judges. Question 1, how have you minimised the number of redundant risks in the register? We believe that it would be dangerous to develop an automated tool to remove redundant risks. Instead, by increasing visibility and accessibility to the dataset, we believe that we've facilitated greater collaboration and ownership, which will in turn ensure risks are more dynamic and therefore become less open to being redundant. Question 2, have we found any data quality issues and how have we addressed them? We believe that the data that was provided was of good quality, but poor scope. We've therefore proposed an expansion of the fields that are captured to produce the levels of useful analysis that we stated at the start, and we believe that we've achieved this. And question 3, how have you presented the impact of risks being realised against project milestones and objectives? We think that by increasing the breadth of impact categories, we'll provide more data around cost, quality, and delay, for example, which provide a more tangible view of how milestones and objectives risk being impacted. Overall, we believe that our solution has ticked the boxes for all of our key owners, whether it's senior decision makers, risk managers, or the risk owners themselves. In order to do so, we've had to utilize the full suite of the Power Platform within Microsoft, including Forms, Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate, with each of these tools being used to facilitate a different one of the requirements. Overall, it's ticked the boxes that we set out to achieve of driving more engagement, more collaboration to develop more insight and overall produce less risk, with more decision-making power, general overall improvements with a reduced burden, improved clarity, and an overall benefit. In terms of next steps and recommendations, we've only really scratched the surface of this, but there are 4 key items that we've identified for the future. The first of these is governance. At the moment, anybody can develop a risk. We think that it would be straightforward to add in a Power Automate that ensures that risks are vetted before being added to the register. We think that we could do more in the way of dynamic risk modeling in terms of allowing more flexibility on probabilities to do some actual modeling. We believe that we could use benchmarking using something like NPlan to benchmark against historical projects, and also potentially to use another Power Automate to use automatic email reminders about risk and ensure that the data is up to date.